All right, so one of the things I wanted to show you guys was we had to do a lot of front end work on the truck here. The basically it had what some Jeep and Ford people call the death wobble, and it was one of these deals where if you hit a bump, the truck would develop a shimmy that you couldn't get rid of unless you absolutely came to a complete stop and then started again. So when we turned it into the shop, the first thing we figured it was, based on everything I read on the internet, was probably going to be the steering box in the steering column and or the gearbox. And it turned out we took it to a kind of a steering specialist, and he was like, no, the gearbox is still in pretty good shape, but all of our tie rod ends and our center link and all that were completely shot. The ends over here, literally where they tie in, that little piece that sticks up right there, all this is supposed to be really, really rigid, and they were just loose as they could be. So the tie rod ends were completely shot. So what we ended up doing was replacing both tie rod ends. So this tie rod end and that tie rod end, and of course the coupler sleeve. We got a new pitman arm right here, and that's going to attach to the center link, which attaches to the tie rod ends. And then we got a new steering stabilizer, and that's the boot. In addition to that, we're not gonna crawl under and show everything else, but they put a whole new set of polyurethane bushings. Just about any place underneath the truck where it had any kind of old rubber bushing, when they had it up on a lift and they were spray cleaning the bottom and everything, not half of them, but a bunch of those old, cracked, worn out rubber bushings, they just fell off. And I mean, we were going to put a whole new set of polyurethane bushings on there anyway, but it was a good thing that we had that plan because a bunch of them were just deteriorated. They were just gone. So as far as underneath, that's what we addressed right away. And then before I show you what else we did on the steering column, Pam, hop up here and I'll show you what we had to do. So if you're out there in YouTube land and you get a 76 or a 77 F100 or F150, when you start looking for those pieces, the center link and the tie rod ends, what you're going to look at, look at this. What you're going to look at is this system right here: steering controls, four-wheel drive, 76, 77, F100, F150. All right, this is an LMC catalog, and you see those parts on the bottom left corner right there that are dark? Those are parts that are available. Every other part you see in that picture, they don't carry. Well, guess what? Nobody carries them because those parts are obsolete. You can't find them anymore. So the main thing is, like, there was a couple pieces that we went ahead and ordered, and then we tried to find the rest somewhere else, and there's no way. I finally at one point found the right tie rod end or the center link. I can't remember which one. And I was like, hey, I thought I found the jackpot. I finally found one that was supposed to fit this vehicle. And we got it in, and it was in worse condition. The website said nothing about it being used, and it was well over $200 for that one piece. Tie rod ends are like 50 bucks at most. So we ordered this part, we got it in, and it was in far worse condition than the one that was existing on this truck. And I was like, what am I supposed to do with this? So we sent that back. Well, thanks to YouTube, and actually more so thanks to the Ford Truck Enthusiast Forum, when I'm trying to research this problem, okay, one of the things that we figured out, or I found out on there, was what you can do is you can install a 78 or 79 system, four-wheel drive, and it just bolts right in. So you can see that the configuration is a little bit different. Everything's a little bit straighter. It's called a T configuration versus a Y configuration. I'm not a car guy, okay? I'm really not. I might sound like I know what I'm talking about, but I'm actually learning this stuff as I go. But one of the things that I found on multiple threads was not only are these parts readily available for the 78, 79, it's also considered a bit of an upgrade. So, when I ordered these parts, and I went ahead and got pretty, reputation-wise, pretty high quality parts. I didn't go with like the cheapest ones at AutoZone. you know, I ordered some pretty high quality as far as suspension and steering world community thinks. And when I delivered these to the shop that was doing all this work, they took a look at them. They're like, man, this is heavier duty equipment than what was currently on here. So in doing this, in solving this problem, going from that 77 system that's not available to the 78 parts that are readily available, we gave it a major upgrade. And then the one other thing in this entire steering that I want to show you guys is, come on over here, Pam, is the steering column as it comes out of the firewall. Right down there, there's a coupler. Okay, it's kind of hard to see, but it's right down there. That coupler, right before the gearbox, was also completely shot. Okay, now that's another piece that just isn't readily available anymore. And so we had the same kind of deal. We were like, what are we going to do? We're going to find the parts. Well, the shop I had it at, they farmed that piece in particular because they were like, we didn't know how to solve this problem. So they took it over to basically a steering and suspension specialist guy. And one of the things that he said was he comes across this whenever he works on these old trucks, and what you have to do is you have to get a universal deal. It's universal, but that doesn't mean it universally fits right out of the box. It's universal, but you have to then customize it, grind it down to the size you need it to be, drill the holes into the size you need it to be to fit into the housing for that coupler, if you will. So that's what we did for the steering. But so again, I just wanted to throw this out there in case you have a 76 or 77 and you have to start looking at this center lead, tie rod ends, all that kind of stuff in the front. You're not going to find those parts, and you might as well just go and put in a 78, 79 system. So hope that helps.